Hi friends, and welcome back to this series, AI in Action, Powering Up with Power Automate. In this video, you're going to learn how to use AI inside Power Automate Desktop to generate some complex scripts to make it so much easier to create those desktop flows. You can use Copilot to generate scripts in VBScript, JavaScript, PowerShell, DOS, and even Python. So let me show you how it works inside Power Automate Desktop. Well, there's no supported API for the list of MVPs, so I want to scrape the data from mvp.microsoft.com and compare it with last month's to see who's been awarded. So the first thing I do is to add a launch new browser action and add the URL for the Microsoft MVP site. And what this does is opens up a browser ready to extract the data. I'll use an extract data node, and when I bring the browser to the front, it then overlays all these little red boxes, which allow us to then select different areas of the page, such as text or images, and then Power Automate Desktop will extract that data for us. What I can then do is, when extracting text from a grid like this, by selecting the next item, Power Automate Desktop will now understand that this is a list, and so you can see that we've got a list of MVPs in a grid. Now I can extract additional data like the description and also the location, and I can also select the image to get the source URL, because in a minute we'll then download those actual files into a folder. So now I've defined the areas to extract data from. You can see that what we've got is a grid of all the data in the area here. And by using the advanced settings, I can then turn on paging. This is because the list of MVPs is broken down into many pages. And by marking this next page button here as a paging element, you can see if we go into the advanced settings again, the paging selector is now defined. This allows Power Automate Desktop to page through the data automatically as it extracts each new page. I can also define how many pages I want to extract, and I'm going to set it to use a physical click to simulate that button being pressed. I also need to store that data somewhere, and I'll select Excel spreadsheet, and Power Automate Desktop can store either in a variable or an Excel spreadsheet, but because I'm going to be storing this and comparing it against the previous file, Excel is perfect. I'll use the close web browser action to tidy up, and the variable here is the browser variable that was created when we first opened it. And now I need to define the location to save the new file in. Searching for scripts, you can see that all the languages marked here with little sparkle icons are enabled for Copilot. And I'll use JavaScript in this case, and the file name is going to be MVP profiles YYYMM. And Copilot will automatically generate the script for us. The output will then be stored in a variable, and I'll name that variable file path. We don't need expert JavaScript programming skills, just enough to understand and check that logic. Now I do this again, but this time I ask Copilot to generate the file name for the previous month to use as a comparison. You can see that Copilot has subtracted a month from today's date, and I store that in another variable called file path previous, and then I'll save that away. Where there's an output from JavaScript, it can have new lines on the end which need to be stripped. So I'll use a trim action on the file path variable to remove any white space, writing back to that same variable file path. And then I'll do exactly the same thing for file path previous. Next, I need to define a variable to hold the root path location using the set variable action. And I'll use a temp location for this demo and call the variable root folder. This will be the prefix for all the paths that I use to save and load files to. Now that we've got all that data and it's been extracted into an Excel spreadsheet, I can then close and save the file to the temp location. I use the close Excel action and select Save As, setting the file name to be the root folder followed by the file name. Because I've got the image URLs of the MVPs extracted into Excel, I want to download these and then save them into an images folder. We can use a PowerShell script, which is very powerful, but it is very complex to write this kind of logic. This is where Copilot really helps again. It generates a complex script and loads the Excel file, loops through each of the URLs in column D, and then downloads them into the folder. We ask Copilot to save them into the images folder, but we do need to just go back and change that so that the folder is underneath the root path. Now that I have this new list of MVPs, I want to compare with the previous list and show where they're new. Another scripting language available for us to use is VBScript, which is really useful for this VBA style operations on Office documents. I'll ask Copilot to compare each name in the new file and mark it if it's new compared to the old. The script is generated by Copilot, but I do need to just update those paths to the old and new Excel file using the variables I defined. Okay, I'm now going to run this. The web browser is first opened, and then Power Automate Desktop extracts that data from the first page using all the fields that we marked from those red boxes, and then it stores in a hidden Excel spreadsheet. Now the next page is requested and the data is extracted again. Power Automate Desktop clicks on that next page button to grab more data. The browser is then closed and all the variables are defined, and you can even see the values in that watch window when debugging. Next, the PowerShell script is run, which takes a little bit of time, and then the VBScript is used to compare old and new, updating the new Excel spreadsheet. Now, if I open that Excel file and expand out the columns, you can see here in that last column, I've got the indicator that shows that those MVPs are new compared to the previous. Now, if I open the images folder, you can also see that all of the images of the awesome MVPs are downloaded. Really quite complex logic built with some very simple prompts. Well, thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe to the Microsoft Power Platform YouTube channel and click that bell to get notified when the next video in this series is released. AI in action, powering up with Power Automate. So until next time, cheers.